it's all about linguistics, it's all about words. So they just put the words together in a sentence and they think it makes sense. It doesn't.
Why can't people just speak their voice like people are doing here today? The government should have no right to do this to people.
If you want to wear your mask, go ahead. The problem is mandating it for everybody.
David Menzies for Rebel News here at Yonge-Dundas Square in Toronto. And folks, before I get to my report, please, if you can, go to journalistdefensefund.com. If you're able to, make a donation. Sometimes we have security guards we must pay. Sometimes it's lawyer fees, but it's worth it when it comes to bringing you the other side of the story. Now, as I mentioned, I'm back at Yonge-Dundas Square. It's the latest Yahoo Nation protest, not quite as big as the one we witnessed last week. But, you know, in addition to the economy being smacked down by the provincial government, there's some other smackdowns going around as well, such as freedom of speech. Now, in the last few days, groups such as The Line, Mothers Against Distancing, and the Mad Santa Claus Parade, they all had their Facebook pages deleted. And to add a cherry on that sordid Sunday, what do you make of the comment that was just tweeted a few hours ago by Bob Rae? He's Canada's UN ambassador, who basically said that if you are against the federal government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, that is tantamount to hate speech. Yes, hate speech for having a differing opinion to the Wuhan virus. Absolutely incredible. So I'm going to go into the crowd here today and see what the rank and file of Yahoo Nation have to say, not only about their rights to work being taken away, but their rights to free speech being trampled upon. And again, somebody in government, whether they're being called Yahoos, now they're being called haters by Bob Rae. I want to see what they have to say about that too. It is tantamount to hate speech to criticize the Justin Trudeau Liberals on their handling of COVID-19. What do you make of that? Hate speech?
It's very easy, actually. It's Marxism speak. So it's all about linguistics, it's all about words. So they just put the words together in a sentence and they think it makes sense. It doesn't.
Whatever happened to freedom of speech?
That's a great question.
Why can't people just speak their voice like people are doing here today? The government should have no right to do this to people.
A lot of people don't like to hear this, but this is all about book burning, okay? You're burning people's ideas that you don't like, and you're getting rid of what's not part of the main narrative. And the problem with Facebook, problem with anything like that, is that they're supposed to be open ideas for discussion, right? And when they're blocking down whatever they don't like, doesn't work.
And Bob Rae, the Canada's UN ambassador to the UN, he has said that to criticize the Justin Trudeau Liberals on their COVID-19 response, that's tantamount to hate speech.
I mean, I guess perception is everything, right? So the manipulation of words, even just looking at like anti-mask and labeling people here as anti-maskers, that nobody's an anti-masker. If you want to wear your mask, go ahead. The problem is mandating it for everybody.
Got to make sure that people aren't allowed to think the unthinkable thoughts that will allow them to stand up and express themselves in an unapproved fashion.
I think we're seeing this across the board everywhere. It's not just Facebook, it's Google, it's Amazon, it's basically big tech, I think in cahoots with the MSM and most governments. It just seems like if you don't have the right point of view, then they don't want to hear about it. There's no debate.
It's unprecedented almost in modern times.
What's going on with the Silicon Valley tech giant shutting down your page?
Well, if you heard my speech last week, I said that Facebook in particular was going to go through some censorship, and I predicted that they were going to take down our pages, and it didn't even take 72 hours for that exact thing to happen. No reason given. 3 pages simultaneously removed straight from the servers completely.
Hate speech just because you have a contrary opinion? What do you make of that, sir?
I don't like that idea at all, because the Great Barrington Declaration right now has over 40,000 scientists and doctors and nurses on there that have said, no, the lockdowns, the restrictions, the masks, we're against all of that.
People have lost their means of critical thinking. Think about it. We have the right to say no.
To have a differing opinion on how the government has handled a pandemic, that's hate speech? I can't make sense of that.
Well, all you have to do, David, is take a look at what's happening in China, because that's the agenda that is going to be unrolling here. So it's an attack on liberty, right? And that's the reason why any dissenting opinion will eventually be categorized as some form of hate speech.
They're doing everything right now to try to cover their ass because they know they overreached, they overplayed their hand, and they screwed up. And now they know that backlash is coming. We reached the turning point. Everyone sees the light at the end of the tunnel. I have mask wearers coming up to me and saying thank you instead of F you. And that's telling me that the silent majority are waking up to this tyranny.
The WHO needs to look at all people's opinions, not just their own, not just the opinions of China and what they want dictated to the world.
Do you suspect that people are going to neuter their opinions or speak out in even greater force?
People will come out in greater force. Absolutely. You can see it. I mean, last weekend it was just jammed down here.
Rob wouldn't have done that. Rob was a man of the people. Rob would have been out here with us saying no lockdowns. He would have been fighting everything Trudeau had to say.
They're even trying to pass a law right now that no business owner, nobody that got hurt at a hospital, nobody that got negatively affected by COVID in any way is going to be allowed to sue the government, as long as the government can prove they acted in so-called good faith.
Hey folks, if you like us bringing you the other side of the story, please go to journalistdefensefund.com, make a donation so that we can pay our bodyguards and our lawyers to continue bringing the journalism you've grown accustomed to.